is the multiverse the logical next step to take Doctor Strange?
Because he's a sorcerer, because he seems to be omnipotent and he needs to learn that perhaps he isn't, and he needs to be taught, perhaps through meeting other variants of himself, that certain choices can lead to calamitous outcomes, and maybe he'd be better off, instead of trying to control everything, working together with others.
I think the journey that Strange goes on, it's great. It's like a literary journey, something like Somerset Maugham, almost Razor's Edge type thing. Tell me a little bit about how Strange is different after Endgame and after No Way Home.
Right. I mean, it's interesting, isn't it? I feel we learn more about him even to his previous existence, what motivated him to become a surgeon in the first place, before we meet him in the origin story. And I think as a sorcerer, we've seen him continue to grow in strength and prominence in the MCU, but never really digging into that and seeing what the frailties and the cracks are, and what his brokenness is. And this really exposes that and stress tests it and gets us to a place where he has to reform, he has to change the way he's doing things. Because even though he's doing it for the greater good now and doing it very well, he's starting to let his ego take over. And I think in No Way Home, you saw a very human dilemma. Everyone sort of criticizes him as being terrible at his job. Well, not everyone, but some sort of ardent fans think that he just completely screwed up. He did so in the service, not only of a foot soldier that he admired, but also a teenager who's having a real struggle in formative years and doesn't have a mentor anymore. So he tried to take on that mantle and sort of failed spectacularly. But, I think it came from a good place. He loves the guys. He says at the end of the film, we will forget you. And he includes himself in the litany of people that like Peter Parker. So I think it's an extension of that in this in many ways. We learn more about his heart and what makes him tick, what motivates him, what makes him into not only a great surgeon before, but now a great sorcerer. And it gets severely challenged in this film.
How does the villain in Multiverse of Madness compare to Thanos?
That would be telling.
But you can tease us a little bit.
I think I just did.
So we've spoken many times. Benedict, I've never asked you though.
I've told you many things without telling you anything many times before now, Mark. Go on, tell me.
Master of evasion. What is the appeal of Doctor Strange for you?
I think, like I was saying before, the complexity of his character. I love his humor. I love the sardonic and snarky nature of it and his arrogance, but also how, he's somebody who, despite being pleasurably anarchic and acting outside of the rule playbook, he is someone who is pliable. He does change. He is able to evolve, and that keeps him and me interested and interesting. So I think he's got great potential, and we're just revealing layer after layer with each of these adventures he goes on. So, there's also a sort of crazy look, which I really didn't think we'd pull off when we first started testing it, but seems to have caught on. I'm kind of comfortable with now, although we obviously explode that in this one, as you've seen in the trailer, etc. But that was one of the funs of playing variants of him. But yeah, I think it's a rich old palette to work with. It really is. You've got an amazing amount of epic adventure and big screen entertainment that he draws in visually, let alone with his role in the MCU, but what he can actually do in it, whether it's sorcery or the efforts and lengths he goes to in the multiverse. So there's that kind of joy to bring that to the audience. And I'm one of them. I sit in my own audience just blown away by what I was trying to imagine on the day feebly, but is only fully realized in the end product. So that part of it's exciting. Just the spectacle he brings is an appeal for me and the audience. And I think, like I said before, the complexity of the character. You want to go on an adventure with him. He's not easy, but he's human.
What was it like leaning into some of the horror elements?
Great fun, especially with Sam. He's someone obviously who's come from that background and brought that into the superhero genre and mastered both. And I felt in very safe hands when it came to him. And I think fans of Sam Raimi are going to be very pleased at a lot of elements that he brings to life, for the horror elements, the darker elements of this story, which I think, and also it is, whether it's schlock horror or jump scares, it's the most scary of Marvel films to date, for sure.
Is this a character that you could see yourself playing for the next 10 years?
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. If they keep me, and it's interesting, and keep him evolving and, trying to exercise his full potential as a character, I think there's a lot of places and a lot of prominence for him to have and explore. So yeah, bring it on.
What do you think about people spoiling aspects of the story on the internet and spoiler culture in general?
I'm kind of the camp that I look away, because I kind of like sitting in the audience and enjoying it for the first time. I'm certainly not on the phone to Kevin or Chris or Taika to ask what's going to happen in the next Thor movie. I want to have that fresh thrill in the auditorium. But I get it. We create a lot of expectation and a lot of excitement around these films. So of course people want to know more before they start. But yeah, I'm fine with keeping my mouth relatively shut and talking about something I can't talk about in that kind of weird way that we do on these press junkets, in order to facilitate that experience for the fans that want, to have that experience.
You're great at it, by the way. I've never been able to get anything out of you.
I'm so sorry. Your editor must hate me, but there we go. Here I
am. Just a crazy year for you, Benedict. Yeah. I think back, we spoke about a year ago for Courier and the Mauritanian, but then you also had The Power of the Dog, Louis Wayne, now Doctor Strange. Talk to me in just a little bit about the career and how it's going to be for you going forward.
Well, I'm going to have a break going forward, that's for sure. I mean, a lot of these films were circling, and as far as distribution goes, like Courier, you mentioned, that had a bumpy old ride because of COVID. A lot of the other ones just happened to come out at the same time, but it's been an amazing few years, and amazing last year in particular. And I want to kind of keep the variety of my and my production company's slate fresh and inventive, and also focus on the kind of people I want to work with as much as the characters I want to play. It's equally important, because I found, especially with Jane, where I got the golden ticket of both a very complex character and her, that I got to evolve my art. I got to sort of, evolve my craft and find a newfound love for it. And that's really what I want moving forwards. I want to keep learning as an artist. I want to keep getting better as an actor.